Hello Stampers, it's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and I'm back for Facebook Live today, and I will be featuring the stamp set Signs of Santa, and we're going to be making these 3 projects today. Give me a second if you would to connect over with my Facebook group. If you are new to my Facebook Live, I would like to welcome you. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. I've missed seeing all of you for the last 2 weeks. Trying to get connected with my other group here. Well, it's not working. So I'm trying to get reconnected back with doing Facebook Lives at my home. I haven't actually done Facebook Live out of my home in Michigan, but I used to do a lot of YouTube videos. And apparently I'm not getting, not able to share over to my other page for some reason. So we're just gonna go with that today, and I'll figure that out later. So right now it's just going to be on the Create with Debbie. As always, once the video is done, I'm going to post all of the instructions with the measurements over on my blog, which is stampitwithdebbie.blogspot.com. And I see we have a couple people here. We have Carol and Diana. Hi ladies, thank you for joining me today. I'm sorry I had to bail last week. I probably have told you, or maybe you saw on the blog that, or on the Facebook I should say, I was in transition of moving from Florida back to my home state of Michigan. My husband has been doing work there for the last 3.5 years, so that's how I ended up in Florida. So we're back, and I thought that I could do Facebook Live last week. Well, silly me, we had boxes from floor to ceiling. We actually had a home in Michigan, and then we were renting a place in Florida, so it's like we're merging 2 homes back together. So that was a lot of work. We're trying to figure out where 2 of everything needs to go. And my son has decided he wanted to move out, so a lot of the stuff went with him, but just regaining access to my office. And a lot of you probably know, when we don't know what to do with anything, it all goes in a central place. And in my house, that's in my basement, in my office. So I've kind of been digging through. I'm making good progress, but when I left 3.5 years ago, a lot of the colors were different. I had to sort through all my retired product, retired paper. So I think I'm finally good to go, and it feels good to be back. And again, I appreciate all of you stopping in. Yes, Carol, garage sale. I'm also going to have a BOGO sale online. I'm having a catalog kickoff here in Michigan on Saturday. And then once that is over, I'm hoping to do an online BOGO sale, which is basically whatever amount you purchase from the catalog, you can choose free of my retired gently used products. So I'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll make a post later in the week or maybe early next week on the Facebook page. So these are the projects we're going to be making today, and we're using the Signs of Santa stamp set. And that's this stamp set, if you can see it. And it also has coordinating framelits called Santa's Signpost. And you have a framelit to cut out Santa, Mrs. Claus, the packages, the wagon, the North Pole, and the elves, and lots of other framelits. It also has a coordinating paper that I wanted to show you that's real fun. Let me get it out of the package real quick here. This paper, so this is what the piece that I used for a lot of the cards today, and I used the framelits to cut out some of the things like Mrs. Claus and the elves. And all of the sheets are 2-sided. And then we have this fun snowman pattern, and on the back of that are trees. So you could use a circle punch or framelit to cut these snowmen out. There's also this piece that has a bunch of elves, which you could cut in strips. And on the back is a red polka dot. This is a fun one with lots of different patterns on there. Oh, and on the back is just a green, it's got little dashes on there. This one is super fun. I know you can't tell from there, but it's velvety. The lines are velvety. And then on the back, there are a bunch of bows. And then this is another one of my favorites. Lots of little things that you can cut out. I did cut these out. I spent an hour or so cutting out like strips, and I used framelits and different things around these. And then on the back is a candy cane pattern. So that's what we're going to use for these today. One other thing that I wanted to show you very quickly is, I'm going to set these aside so I don't get those confused. Right now I have a class to go, and you probably have seen it on the Facebook page. The cost is $35, and you're going to get everything you need to make these projects, including the stamp set, the snowman stamp set. It's $35, and how it works is you have until October 17th to place your order for the to-go class. Once I receive the orders, I need to place an order with Stampin' Up! To get all of the supplies needed, including the stamp sets. Once I get them back, I send them out priority mail to you. So you should have them by the end of the month. This is what I call a to-go class. So you don't receive the treats that are inside, but this is a pizza box. These are food safe inside. And then this one here holds a pack of gum. And that just pulls out. I actually have that in there backwards. So, and then the other three are cards, and you get envelopes. So that's $35 if you're interested in signing up for that class. You can email me at stampitwithdebbie@gmail.com, and I can send you an invoice for that class. Again, as always, if you place at least a $30 order from today's Facebook Live, I will send you the Make and Take kit for these 3 projects that we're doing today. Yes, the flocked parts of, Carol, the flocked parts of that paper are awesome. I wish you could feel it through the Facebook Live feed, because it really is great. So we're going to start with this elf card. And what you need is a piece of, I have Call Me Clover. That's cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. We also need a piece of, it's going to look a little bit different to you, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm using this designer paper, the flocked piece, and you need that at 4 by 5.25. You need a piece of Call Me Clover at 2.25 by 5.25. A piece of Whisper White cut at 2 by 5.25. This polka dot designer paper cut at 2 by 2.25. And then I just cut out a few of the pieces. We have the packages, the wagon, the little gift tag, and 2 of the elves. So I'm going to set those aside. And this card needs very little stamping. So I think let's do that first. We're going to stamp Do Not Open Until Christmas. And this is a little tag here from the stamp set. And I cut it out with a framelit, I should say. I cut it out with a framelit. And I'm going to use the Memento ink. Stamp up my little Do Not Open Till Christmas. And there it is. And that's all the stamping we need for this card. So now we can just assemble. We're going to take our piece of Call Me Clover, fold it in half on the score line, and then I wanted to show you very quickly how I got this piece of paper. Okay, I'm going to show you one more time. It used to look like this. Now it looks like this. When you get the paper, you'll be able to see. Oh my gosh, I just saw in my comments that Diana said they moved 13 times since they were married. I can't even imagine, because, sorry to interrupt our card here, we only moved really once since we've been married, but then we moved from Michigan to Tennessee temporarily for a job, and then we moved to West Palm Beach, then we moved to Jupiter, Florida. I really wanted to move once we got back to Michigan, but I don't think I ever want to move again. It's not fun, especially when you have 20 years in a house and you have used every nook and cranny of every space, and whew, I just can't even imagine. So I'm using my Stampin' Blends marker, and I'm using, there's a brush end and a marker end. I'm using the marker end. There's a little crease here in between the two, and you can see that little red line. It kind of goes from flocked to not flocked to flock. And I'm just going to start off the edge of the paper, and I'm going to color in that line. It's kind of hard for me to do, and it's going to get a little sloppy because I'm trying to show you. So I'm just taking my marker and coloring right in that line. And that did get a little sloppy because I was trying to be able to show you. But the rest of the lines I did just fine. And it didn't, this got a little thick because I was trying to show you. But so that's how you're going to get this piece. And so we're just going to take our adhesive. I think my adhesive got gummed up a little bit there. I'm going to use this one. We're just going to put this right on the front of the card. And then we're going to take the piece of clover and the piece of white. We're going to put adhesive on the back of the white. And that should line up on the edges because it's going to go all the way to the edge of that. So then we can put that on. So it's going to line up to the piece of designer paper that you put on there. You're going to use this little piece of designer paper that's at 2 by 2 1/4 and put that right in the center. And I had mine line up at the bottom and then go over the top just a little bit. And then we want to put our little elves on there. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of the elves. The hardest part for me for all of using this paper is kind of deciding which side I want to use because I love every single piece of it. So that's been the hardest thing for me. Ooh, do I really want to cut that side? Or I'm a saver of designer paper because I'm always thinking, oh, I could save that for a really special project. And then I have to remember every project is special, so I should just use it. So I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive. It's kind of hard to get my tape runner in there, so I'm going to use liquid adhesive. Put the presents on there. And now we need to take a piece of the textured weave ribbon, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And cut the ends off. So that they're at a little bit of an angle. And I'm going to attach that with a glue dot. Up here at the top. And then I'm going to take my little tag that I made that says do not open till Christmas. I put a little adhesive on that. I'm just going to tuck it up under there. And there we go. This card is done. Now these pieces are wanting to go up a little bit, so I can kind of encourage them down, or I could put a little glue dot under there is probably what I'll end up doing on each side. So there's that project, and I'm going to set that aside. And let me get the next project. Yes, I imagine Diana being in the same house for 20 years probably is a long time. Our first house we were in for 10 years, and it was only 600 square feet, and we were sure it didn't have a basement, and we were sure that we were going to be moving out quickly, so it was good for us when we first got married. 3 kids later, we finally moved out. We have 4 kids, so after the third kid, we decided we needed a little more room, but honestly, we never felt cramped at all. We liked living in that house. We kind of outgrew it. So this is the next card that we're going to make. And what you need for that is a piece of Poppy Parade, cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then, I'm going to forget the name of that. It's called Swirls and Curls. It's the new embossing folder. And I really like it because it's not just for Christmas. It can be used for lots of different things. That's what I like about it. I'm also using a piece of designer paper, and on this one you can see I used kind of the stitching. I'm going to try using the Christmas tree one. That is cut at 2 inches by 4 inches. I used the stitched framelits, and I used the largest circle. I have a little piece of white cut at 1 inch by 1 3/4. And then again I used let me do it here so you can see it a little better. I used the framelits from the set to cut these snowflakes out with the Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper. And then I also just used a circle framelit to cut this out of that piece of paper that I showed you at the beginning. So I'm going to put that aside. And then the only stamping, I guess let's do our stamping first. The stamping we need to do is, we do need to stamp Santa Claus onto this stitched framelit. So I'm going to ink up the Santa Claus stamp here. Put him right in the center. When I'm using a photopolymer, sometimes even the red rubber, I like to hold it there a minute. I don't know if this is true or not, but I kind of find that the ink transfers off just a little better and I get a crisper look. There's no voids at all in this, so I kind of like that. The other piece we need to stamp is this, and that's going right here. So I'm going to cut a little banner at the bottom, and again cut up in the center, and then cut to it, and cut to it. Now we need the Poppy Parade ink. And we're going to use the stamp that says North Pole. And I just stamped, I'm hoping not to put my head in here, North Pole several times. It's probably not as nice and neat as the other one was because I could put my head right over it, but there that is in Poppy Parade. And then that's it for stamping. Now we do need to color our Santa in, and I remembered that I forgot to grab one of my markers, so I'm hoping this one's gonna work. We're gonna, let's see, I think so. We're gonna color his face with the Petal Pink light. And then we're going to color the list here with the Smoky Slate light. These are the Stampin' Blends markers. I suppose if you wanted to, you could just color in the edges and blend it in too, instead of coloring the whole thing. And then we're going to color his Santa suit with the Poppy Parade Dark, and I'm going to use the marker end for that. Oops, I forgot to color his hand. I'll have to come back to that. I sometimes like to have a little bit of it colored in so you don't have to sit and watch me just color everything. This shouldn't take too long. And then I want to go back and color his hand because I forgot to color this hand here. There's a little peeking out here, so I'll color his thumb. And then we just need to color in his belt buckle. You could also color that in yellow. I think it would look really good, like a gold. All right, so we're done with this and we're ready to assemble. We're going to fold our piece of Poppy Parade, our card base, in half and use our bone folder to crease that. And then we're going to attach the, so if you have this, you can really see like it looks great both ways. Like part of it is pushed down and part is pushed up. So there's no wrong side to use. You just have to decide which side you like the best. I'm going to put that so I leave a little border on all the 4 edges. And then I'm going to put my piece of Christmas tree paper on here. Again, that one that I created before was using the stitched, kind of stitched paper, so I just changed it up a little bit. I think next I will put the Santa on, and I'm going to put him on with a couple dimensionals. And we'll put him right here. And then put a little adhesive on the North Pole piece. That's going to fit right up underneath, so it's okay that we put it on afterwards. And so there's that piece. And then I'm going to take this piece that's just going to show just a little bit out the bottom. I liked it because it kind of was the gifts that Santa Claus might be leaving. And then for these, I'm going to use a little bit of the liquid adhesive. I think I'll glue them all up at the same time. All right. That little one is going to go right here. And this one is all done. So I think I like it with, you know, both of the greens in the back. I think it looks very good. So both of those are ready to go. So I'll set those aside. While I'm getting the other one ready, I'll bring back the hostess code you can use this week. I do like my setup here in Michigan much better because I can do my videos right at the place where I'm stamping, so if I forget to grab something, I'm right there with it, and I don't have to worry that it's all the way across the room. That was always a fear of mine. So the next one we're going to do is this one here. And again, this just has a little bit of stamping. Let me go over what you need first. We're going to use a piece of crumb cake cardstock, cut it 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. A piece of crumb cake that I ran through the, forgot the name again, Swirls and Curls embossing folder, cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Need a piece of designer paper cut at 4 by 3. A piece of white cut at 2 by 3.5. A piece of black cut at 1 inch by 4 inches. And then for this one, I used Santa Claus on this one. This one I'm going to use Mrs. Claus. I thought it would just be a fun little change. So, whoops. Her present's stuck to my finger. So we're going to... Oh, lucky Carol, you have a sewing room and a card room. I actually, one day, once I get my area a little better situated, I'm going to do a video so people can see my room. It used to be, when our kids all lived at home, kind of their gathering area, but then one day I realized no one was gathering here anymore, so I took it over. We're going to, once we run that through the embossing folder, which I already did, and the Big Shot, glue it up really well, stick it on the front of our card. we're going to take our piece of designer paper that we cut at 4 inches by 3 inches. And that's going to match up right here at the bottom. I suppose technically if you wanted to, you could cut this piece of that you embossed in half and then just use half at the top and half at the bottom. It would let you save a little bit of paper. I'm going to take my piece of black, cut it 1 inch by 4 inches, and I'll put this right in the center to cover up that seam between the two. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my triple banner punch, and I'm going to punch the end of this, and I like to turn it over so I can see. I just want to really punch off only what I need, so I'm getting it so I can see the edges of the corners there. And then we're done with the punch. And then we need our stamp set that says wishing you everything on your list. Now there is another piece to this stamp set, and I actually thought about doing it down here because this one says wishing you everything on your list, and then there's and more, so we could put that down here. I didn't get a block for it today, but just know that you could put it right down here underneath the presents, and I think it would look just fine. So I'm going to ink up my words and get my piercing mat here. Ooh, make sure the stamp is right side up. I have to pull this back towards me or I'm really gonna get that crooked. All right, there we go. And then now all we need to do is assemble. So I put my original one on just a little bit crooked. I like it kind of crooked that way. Not too crooked, just a little bit. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay. Let's see. Let's put Mrs. Claus on here first. And then I'm actually going to, let's tie a ribbon first. I'm using this brand new braided linen trim, and it might be kind of hard to see. It's linen trim, but it's much thicker. I actually have the linen thread here. So the linen thread is on the left. The new braided linen trim is on the right. So you can see it's quite a bit thicker. And it's flat. It's very flat. So you could easily wrap it around a card or a package. It makes a nice bow. So I'm going to tie a bow here real quick. And cut the ends off so they're a little bit of an angle. I was just noticing I have my Halloween fingernails on. I probably should have put my Christmas nails on. Alright, so we're just going to add a little glue dot. Then let's see where we want to put our presents. I think I'm going to put this one right down here. So I'm going to grab my liquid adhesive and put it right on there. And I think it looks super cute right there. So let's get all of the projects back so you can see them all together. Mr. and Mrs. Claus, Mr. Claus, and our elves. Well, maybe our elves. There we go. And here's the hostess code. All right, again, if you visit my store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net, and I will leave a link in the video once I've been able to edit it. And if you place a $30 order, I'll send you the make and takes for these 3 projects. And again, if you are interested in ordering the to-go class, I'm also going to put some information on that again, just as a reminder. And I am so thankful that you joined me today, everyone. And if you would, just click the share button. That helps to get my business out to other people so that they can also see my live videos and my YouTube videos. I would greatly appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Thank you again for stopping by, and I hope you have a beautiful day.